Hi, all. Welcome to another episode of Breaking Work. If you want to reimagine and redesign what the concept of work can be for you, then you, my friend, are in the right place. But if you just want to make passive income and sit on a beach somewhere, I would definitely shut this off and go someplace else. So, the word mission, we all want one. That hair on fire problem we want to solve, or the way of helping people that finally makes everything click. But life gets in the way and we make compromises. Well, having a deep personal mission is vital to changing your own work life and becoming a person far greater than the one you are now. Someone who knows a lot about mission is my friend Chason Forehand. From turbulent childhood to addiction and homelessness to building two mission-driven organizations that are putting people first, his story is one of courage, adversity, and the power of letting a mission consume you. Chason, I know you're used to breaking bread with lots of folks, but are you ready to break some work with us here today?
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Dude, appreciate you so much. Man, I love, underdog stories, right? Like they just give me chills, and learning so much more about you and your background. It just made me appreciate our interactions so much more and appreciate that you've had me on your podcast, Time to Change, which we'll talk about. And so just really, really grateful that you're here to share some of your wisdom and your story with us.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So to set the stage, you've described yourself as having a turbulent childhood. And I want to tee this up for the audience because I think it's really important to all of us. We all have our own different circumstances and our own Goliaths we need to slay. And so
Yeah.
to take us back to what was turbulent about the childhood?
Up until the time I was 5 years old, I was physically abused by my biological mother. And then back in those days, man, it's hard now in 2025, but back in those days, in the 60s, having a single father
Yeah.
go to the courts and pull away two kids from a mom was very difficult. At the age of 5, he was able to separate us from our biological mother, get full custody of us, and he moved us away from where we were at the time. We were in Florida at the time. Specifically, we were in Tallahassee, Florida, because my father not only was working to provide for us, but he was trying to finish up his degree at Florida State University. He was a music major, and he was chased by all of these Decca Records and other people that were like really into him and his voice. And he gave all that up to provide for two young boys and to start a new life. He remarried very quickly and went by the resume, not the human. And we ended up over the next 12 years being abused psychologically by our stepmother. And I mean, really just nasty stuff that uh, parents should not do to kids. And my father was traveling to put food on the table. And you can see it when, you could see broken bones. You could see bruises. You could
Sure.
see when someone puts a cigarette out on your arm as a kid. You can't see psychological damage. And until I got old enough to really start really acting out, and I didn't know how to act, I didn't know what to say, and I knew I was in an environment that wasn't healthy, but I didn't know what to do about it. So I'm a teenager with a lot of pent up rage and frustration over all of this that's gone on. And so I just started really acting out in bad ways. And that led to me getting frustrated and starting to take drugs because I got mad that no one was listening.
Yeah.
And so that's really kind of set up the phase of what would take over a decade of my life then consumed by drugs and all the poor choices I made after that.
So it sounds like you didn't have that strong of a foundation to really like, a lot of people listening, right? And I come from a great family, people that want the best for me, people that were there supporting me. And I can think about the challenges that I have even from really well-meaning parents, but you didn't have that at all. So, around adolescence or around this time where you started to really observe and understand that, maybe not a typical situation for you, and you started acting out. I mean, were there any steps that you took, or was it really like you just didn't have anywhere to go and you fell into, drugs? I'm assuming that's like around high school age. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, so we were pushed to do certain things. We were in church constantly. My dad served. My stepmother was part of the deacon crew. So I'm watching this, and I'm a person of faith. Don't get me
Mm-hmm.
wrong, but I'm watching this hypocrisy take
Yeah.
place, and so I'm angered by that. I'm angered by the way she mistreated us. I'm the oldest now of 6 boys at this point, watching all that's going on, and how she's pushing us to have straight A's and pushing us to go and be in these clubs and stuff that I don't want to be. But then once we do it, oh, you can't go do that because I need you to do here. So it's that very controlling environment of, oh, you need to go do the drama club because that'll be good for you. And then once I went and actually made one of the leads for Oliver, oh, you can't go to practice. I need you to watch your younger brother. I'm going to go do da 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 da. So it's that psychological warfare, and I didn't realize it at the time. I just was mad. I was just an angry young Irishman, just like I'm pissed. I'm pissed at my father. I'm pissed at my stepmother. I'm pissed at my real mom. I'm pissed at everybody. And I don't know how to get it out. So I played violent sports. I got into a lot of trouble for fighting. People didn't mess with my younger brothers, I will say that. So that was, that was kind of, I guess, a decent benefit from that they did not have that. But I literally, it was a series of missteps, running away from home, staying out for a couple of days, and like coming back, and then, just a whole bunch of nonsense.
No constructive path for your energy and to get out all of that stuff that boys have. I know a little bit about raising boys. I got 3 of my own. they got to have their yeah. I can imagine it just felt like a whipsaw. And so you get to like around 18 in adulthood, and what was that like? You were had been using drugs for a while, and now you got to go out and like fend for yourself. What was that like?
Well, I will say this, the gap there is at 15, 16, I don't know exactly. At 15, I got my first job in the culinary world.
Okay.
And, I made $3.10 an hour and thought I'd hit the lottery. And, she confiscated, because I don't have a bank account. I'm 15. So she's confiscating the money and would dole out some of it like allowance money at that point. They stopped giving me allowance for chores. I still have to do the chores, but now I have a job. So, I'm going to dole out this. And then on top of that, I had a breakdown my senior year in high school. And how embarrassing that, because I had taken the wrong combination of drugs and whatnot. It was basically catatonic. And they took me out on a stretcher in front of all these people. So now you got, this is back before social media. I probably would not have, I don't know what would have happened, if I had to deal with all of that going on. I don't know how you do it with your boys now, but it's it was the whisper meal, and I still had part of the year that I had to come back to, but and everybody's looking at me, and some of the groups that told me it'd be better if I just took the time off and not be part of their group, and there was a lot of that going on. But I had great grades. I finished at the top of my class. I aced all of these tests going into college, but I have to pay for college myself because I got all these brothers behind me,
Right.
and we're not wealthy. And so I go to a state school, and the first 2 years were okay. I placed out a lot of stuff. I was taking a lot of things that I was interested in. I was away from home, but like my drug usage was getting higher and higher. And, now I'm on my own and doing things, and I'm socially awkward, and I wasn't prepared because of my background and upbringing. My parents
Yeah.
hadn't really prepared me for social activity. I was just awkward, and
Yeah.
it carried over for years. And that wheel of shame and stuff became awful. And uh, I'm in my second year of college, and I tried to take my own life. And then my third year of college, we had moved, and I had dual residency in New York and Texas. And in my third year of college, I got into a lot of trouble, was forcibly removed, and was incarcerated. So I I felt betrayed. I felt alone. My father decided to let me sit. And, that tough love. He came from that kind of environment, so it was tough love. Now I'm just going to leave you there. And you know, I I really was on the blame game then. That wheel of shame
Sure.
was going on. I felt terrible about my circumstances. I didn't realize that I had done a lot of it to myself, and that I was using excuses for why I was in the place I was. And this went on for about a decade. I mean, and it got worse and worse. Where you know I go from one job to the next job because I wouldn't show up for shifts because I'd be out of my mind, not even know where I was.
Hmm.
And just one day, I luckily came upon someone who had been 10 years clean and sober themselves, and was like, man, I'm going to pay it forward to you because someone paid it forward to me 10
Wow.
years ago. And now I'm ready to do it. And I'm going to help you get clean. And that started me down the process. And that really made a huge impact when people care enough about you to recognize your strengths, your weaknesses, and have radical candor to have a courageous conversation with you and say, man, you can be anything you want to be, but you're messing up, and you got to take ownership. And once you do, and you ask for help, I'm going to be there to help you. There's other people that will be here to help you, and you may not recognize them. There may not be your family. Friends are long gone because
Right.
the party days are over. You're broke. You got nothing. But you can fix your circumstances and you can move forward. So now, all these years later, it's taken me a while to do a lot of the work. I'm still, good grief, at 60, I'm still doing the work on myself,
Yeah.
but I'm at a place that I can pay it forward to other people. And that is what lights me up every single day.
Yeah. It's amazing. I really appreciate you sharing that story with us. I don't know how much you've really spoken about it, but like I feel honored that you shared that with us. So thank you very much. Talk to me about this person, this mentor, this was obviously a critical turning point for you, but there's also a point, I believe, where you were homeless maybe and you walked into a restaurant, and that really seemed to change um, a good part of your life as well. Is that correct?
Well, yeah,
If you need to back up, back up. But
yeah, no, let's be clear though.
okay,
Because I look like this now, and I'm a scarred up hockey dude, you can't see all the stuff. But this Vulcan eyebrow is from 22 stitches. I I may not be the prettiest dude in the room, but I can clean up and I can speak well. I'm great at making the team. I made all
Yeah.
the teams in sports. I
Yeah.
sucked at sports, but I made all the teams. I can show up and make the team when it counts. And I've been in some high-end restaurants where they do what's called a stage or a stagiaire. It comes from that word means tryout basically. It's and in the culinary world, especially higher end culinary, you show up usually on a Friday, Saturday night. You work the shift. They watch you. They see how you perform, how you work with the team. And then either you get a check at the end of the thing and they thank you for your service, or they put you in the payroll and now you have a job. I'm great at making the team. The problem gets into, I want to stop because I recognize the fact, because I'm white and because I cleaned myself up and because I got lucky, because the court system could have charged me with felonies
Right.
and they did not, because I'm white and I came from a family that at least spoke to the court, even though they did not bail me out.
Hmm.
So I got off with hand slaps where a lot of other people would have had the book thrown at them, especially when it's around drugs, because everybody, especially judges, want to have that war on crime. They don't look at the person, they just look at the what's happening.
Right.
And so I got very lucky in my life. I was able to get jobs, walk across the street, make even more money when I just got fired over here. I was at a place very high end. The chef was really well known, was on his way, like in magazines, winning all kinds of awards. I made the team, and then everything's going along well, and I do my normal thing. I crash and burn. So I woke up one day in filth. I don't know where I am. I don't know what's going on. And I'm not going to paint any more of the scene, but it's very graphic. And I get myself together and I go out to the newsstand and I realize it's Sunday. The problem with that is that I've missed Friday night service, Saturday night service, and Sunday brunch. I've missed 3 key shifts where my attendance really matters. I remember walking back to the restaurant, like that walk of shame, and you go into the back where all our receipts come in, and there's all the dishwashing station and everything. That's the back of house, and you walk through. And no one wants to look, man, people are looking up, they see me, and then it's just kind of like, whoa, that guy's dead. Like, I don't see that dude anymore. And I didn't even make eye contact. The sous chef sees me and then looks down and just points to the back office, because the chef is normally out in the kitchen, but he has a little back office for things just about like what I thought was going to happen. And so I go back there. And I'm a big believer. I'm a big believer in the power of 3. I've just seen it so many times in my life. It's not a numerology thing. It's just how many times 3 has presented itself. I love Schoolhouse Rock. 3 is a magic number. So there's your proof positive, people. And I walk in and the chef goes, why are you here? Do you know why you're here? And I don't know. I just figure he's about to fire me, and he just wants to beat me up a little bit. So he's playing a game with me. So I don't know. We go through this little banter back and forth, and I hadn't even realized that he had 3 piles in front of me. Power of 3. And he says, that's when he tells me that he's been clean and sober for 10 years. And oh, by the way, I'm going to pay it forward to you because somebody paid forward to me. And he goes in, I'm like fighting to like not blubber in front of this guy who I have mad respect for, but I've just really let down. And he has pamphlets for me to get into NA, Narcotics Anonymous. He's got business cards for me to get a roof over my head, get some assistance. These are people he's personally made contacts and said, hey, they're expecting you. I'm expecting you to go. You need to do this. And then there's a little bit of cash. And the cash is so I can make it, like train, and subway to get to these places. No one's done anything like that for me. He didn't have to do that. There was no reason. Like, look, I don't need you. You're a pain in my I've got all this stuff going on. I'm a superstar. It is a succinct reminder to me that no matter where you are in life, there are people a lot less fortunate than you. And when you give, you're giving to yourself.
Yeah.
And so I'll never forget that. And for the first time ever, this past March, when we were doing our Cooking Up Change fundraiser, I was the third speaker. And I told my story in all of its glory for 20 minutes. And my coach, who's in Goa, India, said to me, I know you're socially awkward. I know you're going to get in your head. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to breathe in between each one of these, and I want you to say 3 times to the audience, I am here to serve. And I stood up there like a big old idiot, goofy me, and I did that. You could have heard a pin drop. And for the next 20 minutes, I just went in. I just did my thing. And people asked me like, man, that was powerful. Did you practice that? I'm like, no, I have all the D's. Like before everybody thought it was popular to say, oh yeah, I got this, I got that, I got this. I'm like, no, I got paddled. I got sent to run around the school. That's how I got on the track team. The coach seeing me run around the school thinking, who's this lunatic? I mean, having all the D's is not a fun thing. And so if I had tried to practice something and I had been off a little bit, I would have lost it right then. Mm-hmm. Like that would have been the end of it. I wouldn't have been able to finish. I would have had to leave the stage. So I literally just was like, I had a mission, and my mission was there to serve. I need people to understand why what I do is so important and how it impacts people. So it wasn't about me at that point. It was about what we do with Transformation Kitchen. And that was how I got through the whole thing. Because normally, if you ask me to speak, I'm just going to be like, oh, dude, I'm going to pass on all that. So, yeah. And that started me out now where people are giving me the stage more and more for me to be able to tell my story and to tell about the work that we do. So and I appreciate very much being here. I loved having you on our show, Dom, and I loved having you there. And I am grateful to be here and to tell part of my story.
Yeah, it's a powerful one. It's a transformational one. And you brought up that word mission, that mission to serve. Can you talk to us a little bit about after this situation in the restaurant, and you have this, you've obviously recognized that someone believed in you, someone was willing to help you, paying it forward. Like, how did you end up getting from where you were to really kind of making a lot of change, especially within like the food service industry and the people and the work that you do in HR with those types of people? Like, what was in your mind? Like, were you just noodling on, I need to start something. I need to help these. Like, what was driving you? What was that mission at that point in time? I know what it is right now.
At that point in time, it was about, I will be honest, a lot of it was about survival. Sure. When you are a recovering addict, you're not only battling whatever your current addiction is, but your addictive personality wants to morph. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a perfect example. I'm a guy working in the culinary world. I've got 10 certifications, including 2 different nutrition ones and all
Yeah.
this stuff. I'm 5'8" and a half. I'm square. I have a 20-inch neck, 46-inch chest. I look like a block. I got to 400 pounds
Wow.
because what happens is while you're paying attention to one thing, I'm not going to take drugs anymore. You're not, eh, you may or may not, and I wasn't. So I was doing the work not to take drugs, but I wasn't working on the addiction. I wasn't
Hmm.
working on why I had this gaping hole inside of me. I wasn't fully admitting to people around me that I was a drug addict, although I was doing the steps where I made amends to people and said, hey, man, I'm sorry. I know I stole money from you. I know I did this. I know I did that. Though that's painful enough. But and a lot of people just won't even take your call, or and some
Sure.
people, were really abusive right back to you, and you know, in a 12-step program, you're supposed to take it. You're supposed to internalize it and realize that you've done a lot of damage. You need to let people now you said I'm sorry. You've got to let people work through on their end, and they may not forgive you ever. Because I did some shitty stuff. Because all I cared about was I didn't care what kind of drug it was. I didn't care where it came from. I didn't care what the mixture was. None of it. Um, and I did a lot of damage to myself and to people around me. And because I didn't do some of the core work on, okay,
Hmm.
why do you know where it's coming from? You know about your past, but what's driving this? Why do you have this open hole? So I was in survival mode for decades. I was in survival mode and I was not thriving. I was just surviving. I lived in 17 states and 42 cities in 60 years, and a lot of that was moving to start over in shame because I failed, because I couldn't get out of my own head. I couldn't stop that inner critic
Hmm.
was rampant. And so I was in my own way. And it's like you wake up one morning and I'm going, how did I become 400 pounds?
Right.
I now need to lose 33 more pounds to get to what I weighed when I played all kinds of sports and ran 8 miles a day. That was the best shape of my life, playing ice hockey, lacrosse, football, and running, distance in track. 225 pounds, pure meat. And I'm 33 pounds away from that.
Wow.
Because I've just, over the last 10 years, 7 years, I've just kind of fluctuated up 10, down, like this whole thing. And so I went to go work for people that are doing similar things to what I do now. I went to go and purposely put myself in places where I could learn and I could grow and I could strengthen my narrative around nonprofits and around creating businesses and running high level things where it's multi-unit. I'm in HR. I created my own HR company in 2012. It's a boutique HR company that only works with social good entities. So I get to see the back end of how they do things. And all of this was preparing to get to the place where I could strike out and serve people the way I wanted to serve. But you can't do that unless you're okay.
Yeah.
And so it's taken me a long time. uh, Half my life I spent in this cycle and this wheel of shame and dejection and letting the inner critic win. So it's I have to give myself grace that it took as long as it took.
Yeah.
And now I'm in a different place. So
Yeah.
so that mission, I don't know that there was a clear mission. I think maybe it was just like, man, how am I gonna eat tomorrow? How am I gonna put food on the table? How am I gonna pay for everything? So yeah.
But what comes through to me, and maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, is the thread through all of those experiences. We're driven by a desire to serve and to help people in kind of a specific area. I mean, you went in, you got nonprofits, you got all this experience in nonprofits because you saw kind of a thread there and a tie to your circumstances. HR and people, the idea of believing in people, developing people, that lights you up. And so, yeah, you may not have gotten, from point A to point B right away, but the steps that you took along that path all have that. Again, looking backwards, it's easy to see, but that's why I'm so interested. I love these moments and these backstories, because you were driven by something, by a pain or by a good feeling of being cared for by the chef. And you want to do that because of that feeling. Yeah. That's what it seems like to me, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a moment where you realize that you can do more. And so every step becomes like, how do I get to that place? And it may get lost along the way. It's certainly not a linear path, but we finally have gotten to that place. And it's come from learning and watching and listening and being in places where I saw them doing the work, but it was checking boxes and not really about the people, but it was about like, how can I pat myself on the back and say how great I am? Look at all the stuff that we're doing. And it was like perfect examples for stuff that I did not want to have happen. And I think that made me more reluctant to tell my story and shrink a little bit, because I didn't want to be like other people. But I did the organization a disservice by not saying, hey,
right,
this is why we do what we do. So yeah, I appreciate that very much, because we're in a place that has come from decades of learning and growth and listening and change and doing some hard work, because you got to do the work internally before you can help anybody else.
Yeah, exactly. So you have a long history with going from job to job. You kind of channeled that into learning, like job for learning and gaining experience in these different areas. But then you set up your own company, right? And so a lot of our audience is, okay, maybe I don't identify with all of Chason's background, but the idea of being in a job and learning and then making a transition out on your own. Talk to us about that period and like how that went. Did you see something in the marketplace that you thought wasn't being taken advantage of, you could do better? What was the impetus for going out kind of on your own? With this one is, which one came first?
In 2012 was HR consultations.
Yeah.
So, and I will say I was building that while I was working full-time jobs. So I'm doing that on the side. Yep. Exactly what you teach. Like, yep. I'm working the full-time job, but I'm setting up the afterlife. That, I refer, I'm a baseball nut. So it's like, what's life after baseball? So I think about that constantly. And I wanted to be in a place where I was in charge. I was in control of my own destiny, and I could decide. I heard someone say one time, it was actually in the Outlier group. I went to one of the very first things that I went to in 2022 when I was putting the nonprofit together. I heard Brian Covey, who was a professional soccer player. I heard him say, I wanted to create a life where I could choose where I live, how I live, be around the people I wanted to be. I'm paraphrasing. He said it more
Yeah.
eloquently than I did. But all of those things. And he set up that life for himself. And it's a lot of what you teach to your audience and the work that you do. I want to be able to do that. So I kept working intentionally for that. And my business, the HR business, has had morphs along the way.
Sure.
We used to work with everybody, and now we only work with social good entities. And it's 10% of the time that I work. And 90% of the time I work is building the nonprofit because it needs more of my time. And that the experience in both cases, there weren't a lot of people helping the small mom and pop places. There's all these people doing all this SaaS work, and let's get you into these contracts that are like 10 years long, and give you all of these services you don't need. Well, what if somebody just wants you to come in almost like a fractional person and just do something to help them out? Or what if they need, an HR investigation because they've got, some impropriety going on in some shape, form, or fashion, and they need someone discreet that's going to handle it. All of those things were things I was capable of doing and things that I had done in my work as I fell into HR with other companies, where I was responsible for all of the HR department, where I had to be intimately involved because I grew up in an industry that thought human resources is having a come to Jesus meeting out by the dumpsters.
Yeah.
So, so I went and I started working with the small mom and pop places. I filled in the gap and I built up a client base where, hey, I'm helping all of these different small and medium-sized companies with whatever their HR needs were. You pay me, we do the thing, I'm out. And you call me next time.
Yeah.
The nonprofit is because I see a huge, huge gap in what I talked about earlier, hubris. So there's a lot of big nonprofits that have a lot of hubris. They have a lot of, they're doing some great work, but they can't get past themselves. So instead of collaborating with others to have a bigger impact, they're all just, patting themselves on the shoulders. And then you have the people that are doing great work, but it's Band-Aids. Mm-hmm. So we're not fixing poverty, homelessness, and food insecurity. It's great that we hand a sandwich or give soup to somebody. They need it. They're hungry. That's fantastic. But that's a Band-Aid. Mm-hmm. That's not solving the problem. How do we stop it from happening? So Transformation Kitchen is about how do we have an actionable change and create living wage jobs and get people to thrive so they're off services, they are in control of their own life, and they can build their life after baseball. They can build the life that they want to have in a constructive, positive way. That you don't see very often. And so we wanted to put this together and make it happen. And we took our time. We spent the first few years really as an advocacy group learning about people and getting in and listening and doing, DEI work and really understanding why companies don't see that ROI of putting people first. And then we came out with Transformation Kitchen, and this program is on fire because it's boots on the ground and shows people, hey, you want to see exactly how this works and how it works well? Here it is. So that's why. That's why.
Take us behind the scenes of Transformation Kitchen. Get us under the hood. What are you guys actually doing? How does it work? What are the events or the things that are actually happening? Because this is really interesting to me.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It depends on where we are. So I'll give you a perfect example. We opened up our first Transformation Kitchen in Matagalpa, Nicaragua. That's with an organization called Rael de Sol. Peter Scheller and his crew are doing fantastic things. They had a space available. that we could do the work and bring in the equipment. So we got together, we started talking about it. This stuff happened really fast. I mean, it flew. Next thing we know, we've got this event in New York City. We raised all the money for all the equipment, all the small wares, and I go spend 21 days in Nicaragua to put this thing together, watch it take shape, and immerse myself in the community. When we do this there, what we've created can teach up to 250 people in a community of 41,000 plus. We've already tested the classes. We did 3 classes and taught 55 people in 3 days while I was there. We had 2 catering events. We had an inauguration event where we had people from the city come down, and I was fortunate to have 2 of the 3 executives in different places for the city of Matagalpa at my table as we were making muffins. So each table was making banana muffins, something pretty simple, but we're just, hey, this is what it's about. Following directions, sanitation, learning, math and science and having fun with it.
So you're using culinary, you're using the kitchen to teach people how to cook and the life skills necessary to that, to equip them for life after. Is that the premise? You're going into these areas and teaching them food?
Yeah, in Matagalpa, it's about economic development. There's not enough jobs. Okay. So yes, we do that for the kids, all the things, because you're learning math, science, everything else as you start to learn. So there's kids classes to get them excited about learning and about sanitation and all that. And then there's adult classes where we teach them the finer pieces of, hey, taking your recipe to a higher level to where you could create a business with this, and then that business feeds your family.
Got it.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
In the United States, as we're building our first transformation kitchen, and I knock on wood, but it looks like we may even have 2 that open. My goal is to open 1 by the end of the year, but there may be even 2. But as we open the first ones here in the United States, they are about changing lives so that people don't just learn culinary. There's all of these life skills that they are holistically sound. We have a director of student wellness. We're working with people on working on themselves and learning all the different aspects, how to have courageous conversations, not using your fists to solve problems, all the things that, people from the streets, people working through their addictions, people that have been formerly incarcerated, people from marginalized communities, how can they learn all of these different skills, balancing their budget, everything, so that they can be well, even if they don't stay in the culinary field.
Right.
They do something adjacent to it that's in business, but they learn everything they need to thrive. And we help them get living wage jobs, either with the organization itself or with a partner. That's the goal in the United States, because 44% of American workers in the United States don't make a living wage. That causes poverty. That causes crime. It causes food insecurity. It causes homelessness. And it has to stop. Yeah. So that's what we do.
Yeah, that's amazing. Where is the first one set to open?
Well, I'm not going to say it yet because I don't want to jinx it. I have 4 places that we are like so close. So I don't know who's going to come out first. And I'm just going to be like, look, it's probably in the Northeast. I would love it. If it's in my hometown here where I'm at in Newburgh, New York. But I'm not going to push. All right. I'm going to let the universe do its thing. I would never have thought that we would have opened so fast, the one in Matagalpa, but it just, the open doors, and you got to be ready to put your Pumas on, get those track shoes. The Pumas do the thing and run. And so, yeah, I will say that we are very fortunate that we've got several places that we're looking at and that we're talking to the city. That's the key, is the city and the town and the people have to be part of this, and they really have to want it. And then there has to be a place that, like a restaurant that had failed and they pulled out all their equipment to sell it, but the bones of the building are still
Yeah.
there, because that's hundreds of thousands of dollars you don't have to pay to stub out the electric, to stub out the water, to have a vent hood, the Ansel
Sure.
system. That's hundreds of thousands. I can get equipment, no problem. But building out a place that's, it's like $500,000.
Yeah.
So we want to go in places where there's something existing. The town would love to have something like this because we could solve a socioeconomic problem for them, get people off of assistance, get them thriving, start building jobs. I mean, it's economic development at a high rate. And it's all about the people and building a community.
One of the things I love from that kind of part of your story is that most of us think when we put ourselves out there and are passionate about our mission or what we do, we're worried about, well, what if things go slower? What if things, what if it doesn't work? But the other side of it is what you're describing, which is like, if I come out with an authentic message and I show that I care about this thing, it can resonate with the right place and things can move a lot faster than maybe you're ready for, as it seems like you're in the middle of. So we'll let our audience hang on the cliffhanger in terms of where the Transformation Kitchen is coming out. I'm definitely going to be paying attention to that because I'm super interested. I want to pivot again though to, you have a podcast, which I was very fortunate to be on. So this is another little like nugget of the life that you've built. You have the consulting engine. You're able to spend a ton of time in the nonprofit. And then you have this over here as well. Like, tell us the name of the podcast and also tell us like, what are you trying to accomplish with that? Because it seems like you're putting a lot of time and effort into it. And our episode was great.
Yeah, you crushed it, man. You crushed it. And the listeners love it. The listeners loved you. I can't remember how many views, likes, and comments, but it was crazy. It's called Time to Change. Time, the number 2, change. And this is our first season. We're in season 7. We're in episode 94, I think, is dropping this Friday. And the idea is that we want to talk to people like yourself that are creating positive change in the world. People whose stories and whose mission, vision, and purpose are creating change. And that's what you do. You're giving people a platform to create life after baseball, to do the things they want to do, to live that kind of life that they want to live, and get free from corporate chains and having people control your life. And I love that. So we tell those stories. This is our first season where we have a pretty decent audience. We're coming up on 3,100 subscribers in YouTube land. And that's where our video lies. But then now we're on every platform with the audio and climbing the charts in the nonprofit business space, to be true to ourselves, because that's what we do. And we call out other nonprofits. We call out, for-profit companies, people that are from all different walks of life that are out creating incredible messages. And so that's what it's all about. And 2 seasons ago, 2 seasons ago, Dom came on. So Dom Jones, I love him to death. He started as a partner and an advisory board member for us. He's got a gaggle of kids, a bunch of boys as well, and he's just the most awesome dude. And he and I play off each other really well. And having him on really excited the crowd. I can speak well. I don't get too heady into it because I just have a conversation with people. Yeah. And even though I'm socially awkward, something about being in that, again, it's that whole thing of, all right, I'm here to highlight you, so it's not about me. And that whole thing makes me get out of my own way so that I can talk to them about them. but you should have seen the first episodes. Like if you've watched the first couple seasons where I'm by myself and I'm my ADHD, I'm not even looking at the camera. I'm like over here, and my wife is like, "Honey, please just focus." And I'm like, they were too long. They were like, oh, an hour long, and for me that was too long because I
Yeah.
can't. I'm just like, what is happening? And it was just they were a mess. But now we get a few tricks up our sleeves. We're doing some
Yeah.
cool stuff. We get a little bit better equipment and some better lighting, and we're using a group to spread out our message everywhere, and yeah, we're learning, and I think that's the fun of it. I enjoy the learning piece. Einstein said, "You're either constantly learning or you're starting to die." And
Right.
I believe that. I constantly am reading and talking to people, interesting people like yourself, and joining different groups. I'm part of 4 different groups. So how I do all this stuff, I don't know, but I don't sleep a lot, so that helps. And
But you can do that and you can maintain the energy that's needed without burning out because you're driven from an internal place. I mean, in
yep,
your brain, in your head, it's all working together and you're inspired by the work and you care about the people that you're helping. And I mean, that's the piece of mission that really matters. And I think like most people in corporate America are really lacking. Like we have this sort of crisis of meaning right now where we all, if you're a knowledge worker, you make good money or living in a nice house, got the BMW and all this stuff. And it's like, what am I doing at the end of the day? Like
yeah,
that impact, that mission piece is what's missing. And it takes a lot of courage to say, I want to unpack this and I want to figure out what can get me that feeling. Like,
yeah,
you obviously went through a lot. Wasn't all by your own choice, but like you followed that. And so when people hear your message, they're like, oh yeah, that was maybe awful, but like where he is now, like I want more of that. I want
yeah.
the ability to go out into the world and impact people in the ways that I want. So it's a really, I can't say it enough. Like I appreciate you so much for sharing what you've shared because that's what I want to impart to people. I want people to hear these stories. Like it is we can all do it. We can all change our circumstances. We
Yeah.
got to face a lot of shit, but we can all do it. And,
Sometimes.
yeah. So time to change is every week, right?
Yeah.
You're throwing
Every
something out
Friday.
every single week and it's about 25, 30 minutes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Give or take, but every Friday, is that right?
Yeah. We release it with our Funky Friday posts,
Yeah.
that virtual skating rink. I love that. I love the 70s, 80s funk is like some of my favorite music, disco, all of that. So yeah, we throw it in. We have a virtual rink. We put the short out there, drive people to watch or listen to the full episodes. And it's been working for us. So people love it.
That's great. Um, I have a little observation I want to chime in here with, and then I got a couple of just rapid fire questions to kind of close this out. But to everybody listening, what I want you to hone in on is number one, it's never too late. Okay. Chason is 60. He looks like he's 45, but he's 60. Okay. And just listen to the energy and vitality that he's got in his voice and that he has on his face. Okay. It's never too late. And we're going to make tons of mistakes. We all make tons of mistakes.
Yeah.
But the other piece of this is when we talk about building a portfolio career or a portfolio life, all right, he's got an income engine, a business. He wanted to work for himself. He's got a business. He pared that down to focus on a specific part of the market that he didn't have to spend as much time on, okay, to buy back his time and allow him to do other things, create massive change through his nonprofit, build transformational kitchens. Who does that, right? Like you're not going to do that if you just are in a 9-to-5 job working 60 hours a week. You have to be able to embrace what you can do in this world and take steps. And now he's got this podcast just because he wants to talk about freaking change.
Yeah.
It's important to him. These are the elements of living like a holistic portfolio life. And so that's what I want you to take from this story. It doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter where you come from.
Yeah.
We can all do this kind of stuff, but it takes grappling with some of that inner fear. And then it's about just moving forward and taking the next action that can get you closer to where you want to go. So that's my observation. Do you have anything to add, or did I butcher that for you?
No, it's actually brilliant. And I'll just say to the audience, hey, I'm still working on it. So I don't have it all figured out. I'm still working on it because, that we all have those stumbling blocks, and usually it's ourselves. Usually we are our biggest stumbling block. So
yeah. All right, rapid fire questions to close this out. All right. In your life right now, who are some of the most influential people that our audience should maybe check out or follow or learn more about? Who's your biggest influences right now?
Scott McGregor.
Yes, great one.
Enrique Rubio. He's the founder of Hacking HR and a global member of Transform. Donnie Bovine from SCN. He's the founder of SCN and the Badass Business Summit. I would say that that's a good start.
Excellent. What are you reading right now? Or what topic is front of mind for you right now? That's urgent or very important for you right now?
Well, there's an Outlier member, Van, that I just read her book, What If Pigs Could Fly? I hope I said that right. She's fantastic. And then my buddy, Dr. Melissa Robinson Weinmiller just came out with The Empathic Leader, and I'm halfway through that. So what's top of mind right now is how we can learn to take care of ourselves and our people almost simultaneously. But we have to take care of ourselves first, and we have to learn to listen to ourselves, our body, be present for ourselves, our family members, so that we can be the leader we need to be and that we need it in our lives, and then show up each day and listen and give the tools and the space to the people that we serve. And I think that's huge for me.
Great. And then you're doing a lot of things. You're out there all over the place, but what's the best resource for people to go find more about you or connect with you and the work that you do?
Well, LinkedIn for sure, but my Linktree, I love Linktree. And my Linktree link literally has every single place with the exception of our audio, the new audio platforms that we have the podcast on, but it has everything else and ways to connect with us. So that's probably the best one single link that can happen. But yeah, LinkedIn is also a great way.
Okay, perfect. We're going to have links to everything you talked about, all of the nonprofits, the companies' websites, YouTube, all of that stuff. But I wanted to give people at least a quick way to say, hey, how can I go connect with Chason? So LinkedIn seems like the best way, but we'll have Linktree and everything on there. Yeah. Chason, man, my man, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for breaking work with us, sharing your story. I know it's going to impact a lot of people.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on the show.
All right, y'all. Bye for now. See you next time on Breaking Work.